Welcome back to the channel Hike and Wild. My name is Mark and I thought I'd show you guys today how I pack everything that I take wild camping into my 50-litre rucksack. Now I've been wild camping for over 6 years in the UK and how I pack my kit has changed over those 6 years, but I think this is the most efficient way that I can pack all of this kit into this bag that I have found. So I'm going to start with a pack liner, and this is going to go in first, and everything that goes in here is stuff that I'm probably going to use at camp and that I don't want to get wet while I'm on trail. So that's going to go in first. And then after that, I'm going to stuff my sleeping bag, and that's going to go right the way to the bottom and fill out all the corners of the bottom of the bag. Now I actually got some flack in the comments when I posted that this is how I pack my sleeping bag in my shorts videos, but this is the most efficient way that I've found to do it, and it's the way that I'm going to keep doing it. And that's going to get squashed right the way to the bottom there. Then up next, I'm going to take my spare clothing that I'm only going to use at camp, and this consists of a merino wool base layer and a synthetic base layer. I think this one's by Rab, and this is just a cheap off-brand make, but these, or this might be OEX actually, these keep me warm and dry during the night, and I only ever wear these at camp, so they're going next. And then typically I'll only ever use my hat and gloves at camp. It is starting to get a little bit colder now, so I might wear these on trail, but these generally get squashed in with my waterproof gear as well. And then in goes my down jacket, again, that I typically only use at camp. And all these are going to go inside the pack liner and really fill out the bottom of that pack and compress down quite nicely. Then I've got my Sea Summit Aeros pillow and a Thermarest Neoloft, which is my sleeping pad, and that'll also go inside the pack liner. And then I've got my Flextail Max Pump, which will stuff alongside that. So I've then got my cook system, which is a fire maple system, and inside here I put a super absorbent pink microfiber towel, and that just stops the gas canister rattling around, and it also helps absorb any water or condensation that might be left inside there, and you can also use it to wipe down any condensation that is on the inside of the tent. And then also inside here goes my stove. That'll just compress down quite nicely in there, and the lid goes across like that. I'll then pop my collapsible cup in the bottom of the bag that the cook system comes with, and the cook system can go in the top of there. And then generally, because the bag's quite generous, I'll stuff a load of coffee sachets and whitener down the side, along with a spare lighter, a long handled fork, and this is actually my windbreak. And that just gets cinched nice and tight, and I typically put that in the pack liner as well, because I don't generally bring my cook system out unless I get to camp. And then once everything's in there that I want to keep dry and that I won't use again until I get to camp, this pack liner gets crushed down and stuffed right the way to the bottom. So down the back of the pack I've got a little mesh pocket which is supposed to store your water bladder, but I never ever take a water bladder. And this is where I store my multi-mat and my pegs, and this just keeps them out of the way and keeps them from getting lost inside of the pack. And then down the side go the poles for the tent, and these just get shoved as far down as I can get them. So this is probably the bulkiest item that I've got, and it's my tent. It's currently the Vango Hydra 200. It's quite a big tent, especially for a backpacking tent, and it's quite heavy as well. So that is why I put it inside of this dry bag to compress it down as much as possible, because the bag it comes in isn't great at compressing it down and really getting it as small of a package as possible. And also using the dry bag helps keep it separate from any other components inside of my bag. If it's wet, it's not going to get the rest of my kit wet either. And then once that's in there, you can force that down as much as possible, and you can actually squish it and shape it to the shape of your bag, and you can really fill out and maximize the space inside of your backpack. So I don't know how well you can see inside there, but there's actually still quite a lot of space, and that space is generally used for food, and it's used for shoving things like my fleece, and it's also used for storing my electrical equipment when it's in such a heavy downpour and I have to pack it away and I don't want it getting damaged. So we'll pop all that in next. I've actually got 2 power banks that I take with me. I think this one's a 10,000 milliamp hour and this one's something like 20,000, and I've got 2 because obviously I need to charge my cameras and my phone and other electrical devices along the way as well, and they all go into their separate little dry bag just in here, along with a spare charging cable, and then that'll just sit loose on the top of my tent for quick, easy access throughout the day. I also carry just an empty spare dry bag, and this just goes in the top loose again. This I typically use for rubbish or wet clothing or just anything that I need to segregate out, and it's just there as a spare, as a multi-purpose item. So I haven't got a ton of stuff left now, and with the exception of food, that is everything that goes on the inside of my pack. So we'll get that zipped up. So we'll start with my waterproofs. These I like quick access to, so these I store in the mesh pocket in the front. And typically any other clothing that I want quick access to, or any other items that I want quick access to, I'll shove in this mesh pocket as well throughout the day. And that chops and changes with the weather and the seasons and how hot I am, etc. Got 2 900ml water bottles, and these go in the mesh pockets on the side. And these mesh pockets are great as well because they've got like a side holster, so you can have quick, easy access to them as you hike, and you don't need to really fumble around trying to find where your water bottle is. In the brain, in the lid, this is where the rain cover for the backpack is stored, but it's also got a separate pocket here. And this is where I store all my little knickknacks that I kind of want quick access to, but I don't really need. So in this little bag, I've got my poop kit, which consists of a little lightweight titanium trowel and some biodegradable TP. I've got my Sawyer Squeeze water filter. I've got my first aid kit, which just has some basic bandages, some Leuco tape, a spare lighter, some antiseptic wipes. Not a lot goes in that, but handy to have just in case. Got some water purification tablets as well, just in case I don't 100% trust the water source. And last but not least, in this little bag, I've got a folding toothbrush and some toothpaste tablets. So on the front here, I've got 2 quite large pockets, and what I store in these varies, but typically I'll put a bug net and some bug spray. And then in the other side, I've got an emergency poncho, an emergency foil blanket, some hand warmers, an emergency whistle and compass, my pencil head torch, and I've also just got a little spare torch that I carry around. I usually use this at camp. And then last but not least, I've got my OEX trekking poles, which go on the straps on this little Stow on the Go system, I think it's called, and they're just tuck into the bottom down there. So that is typically how I pack my backpack, and I do that for single day trips and multi-day trips. Let me know if you would do anything different in the comments down below. if you pack your backpack any different, or if you use any different type of kit, let me know in the comments down below. If you've liked this video and found it useful, please click that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. I hope to be back out on more adventures soon, camping and hiking in the mountains, and hopefully in a new location in a forest very, very soon. So hit that subscribe button, and as ever, I'll see you on the next one.